So in this chapter, I will understand about the firewalls. So firewall is nothing but it acts as a security guard, controlling access between an internal network and the external network, that is the internet. So these firewalls will actually provide an first level of defense for the computer from the external internet or external applications or the server. So basically external server means we are speaking about the threats from the external server or the external network. This firewall we can implement, or it may be implemented in hardware as a standalone firewall appliance or in software on a PC. That is nothing but it can be a different software, okay, or it can also be embedded on a PC, okay, as a software on a PC. So this basically these are the two ways in which we implement the firewalls. A single firewall may be adequate for small businesses and homes. However, in several large enterprises, multiple firewalls. So in the small networks like our personal network and all, we need a single firewall. Like my PC, my PC, I don't do anything much, so I just require a single firewall. But in the large organization, maybe MNCs or somewhere defense organizations where a lot of security is required, they may have to deploy various levels of firewalls to make sure that their data is safe. So first we'll understand about the functionality. So we are basically speaking about the four functionalities. One is access control, next is address or port translation, next one is logging, final one is authentication or caching. So access control will simply speak about what should be allowed from outside and what shouldn't be allowed. So that is the first thing what your access control will do. That is the main function of the firewall. So obviously whichever application or whichever incoming packet, if it is basically following a certain set of signatures rules, then it will be allowed inside. Others external ones, it will not be allowed inside. Others which are not following proper protocols are nothing but the rules, because those softwares which are not following the proper set of rules or protocols may be a threat, virus, worms, it can be anything, okay. So that is why it is first main work is to decide what to be allowed inside and what not to allow. Next one, address or port translation. So students, this address or port translation is nothing but we have our PC and our PC has one ID. So this kind of ID is called as a private ID. Then between us, okay, our router is there. Between us and the external server, that is internet, our router is there. So router will have one more IP, okay, that is called as a public IP, and to the external device, router's IP will be visible. Whenever it will send any data, its external public IPs will be available. So students, this changing from private to public IP, basically it is this called as basically this NAT, okay. So once the data is changed, okay, changed basically from private IP to public IP, then it is sent on the internet, okay, to the respective server. I mean basically whatever is asked, so that thing will be there in the server. So basically it will be sent to that place, and in that place, before the server sends us the packets back, it will only see the ID of the router. So once it will see the ID of the router, and it will send the data to that ID, router's ID. Then from router's ID again it has to change into the private network's IP address, and it will send. So all these things make use of NAT. So that is what they are telling. So this is done once again to ensure the security of the private system. Next one is logging. So students, that a firewall, it can log all anomalous packets or flows for later study. Basically it is logging is nothing but it will keep a record. It will keep a record of different kinds of materials or things or packets, details, packets, basically detail of packets, okay, which are incoming and outgoing packets. Basically what I'm telling is nothing but it will log all the anomalous packet details, and why it will log it for the future study. So one thing is nothing but these logs will be very useful for studying attempts at intrusion together with various worm and DDoS attacks. So basically to study various kinds of attacks it will be useful. Next is nothing but authentication, caching. So authentication, you know students what is authentication. So it is basically to recognize that the right person is accessing the thing. So it is also used in that authentication purpose to make sure that the right person is sending the data. Okay, so from outer person, that is internet or server, basically whenever he tries to send the data, we need to be sure that with whichever person we have asked the data, the same person is sending or not. So we have to make sure that. So this work also the firewall will do. Okay. Other than that, students, there is a special type of firewall. It is called a web proxy. It authenticates internal users attempting to access an external service. Such a firewall is also used to cache frequently requested websites. So this results in decreased response time to the clients while saving communication bandwidth. So students, to save the communication bandwidth, students, it will cache. Basically cache means it will keep data of those websites which we access frequently. So by keeping details of those websites which we access frequently, we can save lot of bandwidth, students, because if such things are not cached which we access frequently, then basically every time it need to load. Every time it need to load, students. That work is avoided. So that also work firewall will do. So these four things are the main functionality of the firewall. So there are some other policies, policies and access control lists. So let us see. High level policies for access to various types of services are formulated within an organization or campus. Examples of these include the following. So let us understand. So these are the policies, students. So let us see what are those. All received emails should be filtered for spam and viruses, obviously, students, because it will cause if it is not filtered, then it will cause the damage to our system. Next is nothing but all HTTP requests from external clients for access to authorized pages of the organization's website should be permitted. So a client should be allowed to access each and every page in the website whichever is authorized or proper. Next one, a DNS queries, domain name server. DNS stands for domain name server. Queries made by external clients should be allowed provided they pertain to addresses of the organization's publicly accessible services such as web server or the external email server. However, queries related to IP addresses of internal machines should not be entertained. So next one is nothing but, students, whatever public services are there outside over there, so access to that should be given. Okay, so that is one more thing. Next one, the organization's employees should be allowed to remotely log into authorized internal machines. So remote access should be provided. One more thing, but before providing the remote access, it should be communication should be authenticated and it also should be encrypted. Last one, only two types of outgoing traffic are permitted. First is nothing but all emails from within the organization to the outside world are permitted. Second, requests emanating from within the organization for external websites are permitted. However, requests for pages from certain inappropriate should be denied. So one more thing is, students, two types of ongoing traffic. That is, one thing is all emails from within the organization should be allowed to go outside. Now one more thing is requests from within the organization for external websites are permitted. So requests regarding, okay. So what they are telling, nothing but whichever things allowed should be given permission, and whichever things not allowed should not be given permission. Next one, high level policies are translated to a set of rules that comprise an access control list. So let us see what and all things this. So this particular diagram, whatever you see here, is an access control list. So in this access control list, some rules are there. So let us see what are those. The packet source IP address and port address. Okay, so you can see here in the diagram source IP address, okay, source port, okay, similarly destination IP address and destination port. So these fields basically, so this is one more thing, it should be there. So it gives the details, source IP address of the source, then source port number, and similarly destination IP address where it has to be sent, then destination port number. Packets, destination IP address and port number, yeah, source and destination. So we have already studied about this. Next one is transport protocol in use, TCP or UDP. So you can see here which protocol. This particular feed will give you the protocol details. Next one is the packets direction, incoming or outgoing. So I represents the inbound traffic and O represents the outgoing traffic. Next one is action field. It simply tells you whether it's permitted or not permitted. Okay, if the access is given, then the permitted will be there, and if the access is rejected, then deny will be there. Then comment, appropriate comments. Okay, so policies can in general be permissive or restrictive. So there are two kinds of policies. Permissive means, students, you have to by default you need to permit all the packets, okay, except those are acceptably forbidden, means which all normal packets should be allowed, okay, whichever there is a rule that you should not allow, so except such packets, all other packets you need to allow. Then restrictive policy is exactly the opposite, where you need to drop all the packets except those are explicitly permitted. Okay, so exactly the reverse case of that, permissive is restrictive. Okay, so next let us understand the firewall types. So once again there are three kinds of type, students: packet filter, stateful inspection, and application level firewalls. So this you can understand, this application level firewalls are the most powerful one and the best one, and the packet filters are the preliminary one. Stateful inspection comes between these two. Okay, so let us understand why packet filters are simple and why application level firewalls are the best. So let us understand that with an example. So packet filters, this involves checking for matches in the IP, TCP or UDP headers. So it will check for match in only the headers field. So this packet filter is basically concentrating on the headers. Okay, so it is done often by the border router or the access router. So that connects the organization network to the internet. So later we'll study, students, there one diagram is there basically, so there you will understand what is border router. Okay, anyways, let us see that. So if you see this diagram, students, this is the internet and this is the border router, which is the first level of defense. Okay, so this is the main work of the packet filters. So why it is inadequate, students? So inadequate means why we say that it's not enough. If packet filters in the firewalls, if packet filters are there or just the packet filters are there, why it is inadequate? So that they are telling us with an example here. So let us understand that. Consider an external email server. So external email server, basically IP address is ABC and it wants to communicate with MS. So this is a destination IP address. So first it should connect to it using TCP. Okay, so that TCP connection should be given between the should be present between the ABC and MS. So such a packet would be a part of the normal flow provided a connection between A and ABC to MS has been established. So they are telling that if the connection between ABC to MS, that is the destination, has been established, then it will allow. Okay, so that's all it is doing. It is not checking for viruses, or it is not doing any other thing. So that's what they are telling. So they are asking you the question there: should the packet still be allowed in? Just if the connection is established between ABC to MS, should you allow the packet in? So that is what they are telling. So a simple packet filter will just do that. It will simply allow the packet to enter even if no prior connection between ABC and MS is established. Okay, so it should be noted that such packets are often used to perform port scans. A simple packet filter merely inspects the headers of an incoming packet in isolation. It does view a packet as part of a connection or flow. So it will simply inspect the header. It will only concentrate on header. It will not concentrate on remaining things, remaining files. There may be a infection in the remaining part of a file, so it will not see all those things. So hence it will not be able to filter out such packet arriving from ABC. So this is about the packet filters, first level of defense in this thing. Next one is stateful inspection. So what is stateful inspection? So a firewall uses packets, TCP flags and sequence or acknowledgement numbers to determine whether it is a part of existing or authorized flow. So this is an additional work over the previous work. What you are doing here, it will inspect the flags or acknowledgement. If the acknowledgement is there, then it will allow. If otherwise, it will not allow. So it is doing an additional level of security here. So if it is participating in an establishment of an authorized connection, or if it is already part of an existing connection, the packet is permitted, otherwise it is dropped. So in the above example of the packet from ABC, the stateful packet inspection firewall will realize that it has not encountered the first two packets in the three-way handshake and will hence drop the packet. So what they are telling is, students, say you in three-way handshake, if you get first, you don't get to first and second packet, and you get the third packet. Okay, then obviously it will not allow the third packet simply inside. Okay, first it has to get first two packets, then only it will allow the third packet. Okay, so that is one additional work this stateful inspection is doing. Whereas in the previous one, that is nothing but your packet filters will simply allow you any data in. Okay, just need to check for its header if it's proper or not. That's all. But this will see even if the packet is proper or not. Okay, each step should be permitted. Each step should be performed properly between the sender and the receiver. So that's an additional work. Next one is application level firewall. So this is, students, a full-fledged one. This application level firewall, you can see here. So here you have the direct connection, okay, between the client and server. Here you have the proxy firewall. Okay, so this will do all the works like virus checking, all these things. So that is what they are telling. So a packet level filtering firewall, so this is the first one what we have studied, even with the added functionality of stateful packet. So this is the second one, is severely limited, because still there are some things like virus checking and all which this will not do. Which one? The second one also. Okay, it will check the orders of the packet, and it will also check whether this three-way handshake is properly done or not. All these things it will do, but still some of the things are pending. Okay, so that will be done in this third one, that is application level firewall. So that's what they are telling here. It will scan completely and it will check for all your virus worms and all. So a special kind of intermediate applications firewall is built between the proxy agents. Such a proxy firewall acts as an intermediate between the client and server. So that you can see in the diagram here. So remember, students, we are all doing understanding here TCP connections. Okay, to a client the proxy appears as the server, and to the server a proxy appears as the client. So there is no direct communication between the client and server. So students, look here what it is doing. By creating a proxy firewall between the client and the server, it will confuse the viruses or worms. Okay, that who is the client and who is the server. So that hence by you confusing these files, basically it is not, these files means these virus files or worm files, for them it is not easy to get into the system, client system, because of that. So this proxy firewall, it is basically the concept of this proxy firewall is done in application level firewalls. So there are proxy agents for many application layer protocols, including HTTP, SMTP. So all these ones we use FTP. In addition to filtering based on application level data, proxies can perform client authentication and logging. This is an additional work. And HTTP proxy can also cache web pages. So caching has major impact on performance. So obviously, students, so by caching your data you can access frequently access you can access frequently whichever data is accessed, that you can access fast. So by this, speed also will increase. So if the web page is cached in a web proxy server located in the client's organization, the response time will be improved. So that is what we are just discussed. Also, caching reduces the demand on external communication bandwidth. Even this we have discussed. Okay, firewall are a necessary element in the security architecture of an organization that permit access to or from the external world. Okay, so these are the basic things about the firewall. So next is the practical issues. Okay, that we will discuss in our next video. Thank you, students.